October 30th, 2005. A fire tears through a house in Ansan, South Korea. Inside, two women burned to death, a 29-year-old wife, her 60-year-old mother. The husband escapes with minor injuries and tells police it was an accident. Insurance pays out 480 million won, nearly $500,000. 3 years later, in a police interrogation room, that same husband will confess to something far worse than arson. He will lead detectives to shallow graves scattered across the countryside. He will describe how he strangled women with his bare hands. He will explain how he cut off their fingers with scissors to destroy DNA evidence. His name is Kang Ho-sun, and the two women who died in that fire were not his first victims. They were his last act of restraint before he stopped pretending to be human. Between October 2005 and December 2008, Kang Ho-sun murdered 10 women. His neighbors called him kind. Women found him attractive. He owned a dog farm. He drove luxury cars. He smiled easily. And he was one of the most calculating serial killers in South Korean history. This is the story of a man who wore a perfect mask until the day it shattered. October 10th, 1969. A boy is born in rural Seocheon County, Gyeonggi Province, South Korea. His name is Kang Ho-sun. He is the third of 5 children in a farming family. Because birth registration was often delayed in those days, his official date of birth is listed as March 1st, 1970. But the real date is October 10th, 1969. The family is not wealthy, but not poor either. The father farms enough land to feed everyone. The atmosphere is strict, but not abusive. Years later, criminal psychologists will be puzzled. Unlike other South Korean serial killers such as Yoo Young-chul and Jung Nam-gyu, Kang has no traumatic childhood, no extreme poverty, no obvious signs of violence. He graduates from Simon Middle School and Hongsan Agricultural High School. His height is 172 centimeters, blood type O. IQ on the Wechsler test is 104, which is average. His appearance is pleasant, even attractive. Nothing suggests the monster he will become. Court documents note one detail. His father sometimes used violence against his mother, especially when drunk. But in rural Korea at that time, this was common. Nobody considered it a warning sign. There is no clear moment when Kang Ho-sun becomes a killer. The darkness was always there. It just took time to surface. As an adult, Kang Ho-sun marries 4 times. He works as a sports massage therapist and later opens a dog farm. Neighbors describe him as kind, responsible, polite. Some even say he is the type of man they would want as a son-in-law or a younger brother. But this mask hides a completely different personality. His friends remember that Kang constantly asked them to arrange meetings with women, even when he was married. He tells colleagues, "It is hard to live by working honestly. The easiest way is to exploit women." He hunts women on the streets, driving up to them in his car and using charm and good looks to lure them. And he brags about his success. He has a girlfriend even during his 4th marriage. In fact, while living with his 4th wife, he maintains a relationship with another woman at the same time. Experts agree this is a classic psychopath, someone who sees people as objects to satisfy his desires. And on that dog farm he uses to create a kind image, dozens of Siberian huskies freeze to death in winter without food. The photograph of the dog is just a prop, a tool. Kang Ho-sun does not kill because of rage or trauma. He kills because he wants to, and because he believes he can get away with it. In 2005, Kang Ho-sun takes out large life insurance policies on his 4th wife and mother-in-law. The policies are purchased just weeks before the fire. The timing is not accidental. On October 30th, 2005, a fire breaks out in the mother-in-law's home in Ansan. Kang's 29-year-old wife and her 60-year-old mother die in the flames. Kang escapes the burning house with his son. He claims the fire was accidental, that he barely survived. Investigators arrive at the scene and immediately suspect arson. They find evidence of flammable accelerants. The pattern of the burn marks is wrong. The timing is too convenient, but they cannot fully prove it yet. In 2007, Kang receives an insurance payout of 480 million won, approximately 400,000 US dollars. After collecting the money, he begins traveling across the country, visiting entertainment venues and psychiatric clinics. It is during this period that his true killing spree begins. The first victim after the fire is a 23-year-old female civil servant from Gyeonggi County, Gyeonggi Province. Her name is Yoon Jung-hyun. She is raped and murdered on September 7, 2006. Her body is dumped in a valley. Her brother later becomes a police officer. In an interview, he says, "If I ever meet Kang Ho-sun, I want to say only one thing. You killed my innocent sister, but I became a police officer to protect your family." The killing has begun, and it will not stop for 2 more years. Kang Ho-sun's method is simple and terrifyingly effective. In winter, when it gets dark early and the cold keeps people indoors, he drives out to hunt for victims in his luxury cars, a Hyundai Equus and a Sangyong Muso, 2 of the most prestigious models at the time. These are not the vehicles of a desperate criminal. They are the cars of a successful man. That is exactly the image he wants to project. He chooses bus stops where buses run infrequently and where women stand alone in the cold. He pulls up and offers a ride. His appearance is reassuring. His car is expensive. His smile is warm. The key detail: on the front seat, there is always a photograph of a dog to make the victim feel safe. This technique resembles what American serial killer Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, did when he used his child to appear harmless. Kang uses a dog photo as his own version of that deception. After the woman gets into the car, he drives her to an isolated location. He rapes her, strangles her, buries her body on a hillside, in a forest, or in a field. To avoid leaving DNA evidence, he cuts off the victim's fingernails with scissors. After the crime, he burns the car. The victims are karaoke hostesses, office workers, housewives, students. Ages range from 20 to 50. None of them know Kang personally. These are random encounters on the street, wrong place, wrong time, wrong decision to trust a stranger. Between late 2006 and early 2007, Kang kills 5 women in the span of just 35 days. 5 lives extinguished in barely a month. Then he stops for nearly 2 years. The reason for this long pause is unknown. Police never found an explanation for the 22-month silence between January 2007 and November 2008. Was he afraid of being caught? Did he move away? Or did he simply not feel the urge? Nobody knows. And Kang has never said. The full timeline of Kang Ho-sun's confirmed murders tells a story that begins with fire and ends in cold fields and hillsides. It starts on October 30th, 2005, in Ansan. His 4th wife, 29 years old, and her 60-year-old mother die in a house fire. Kang has taken out life insurance policies on both of them just weeks before. He escapes the burning house with his son and later claims it was an accident. Investigators, however, find signs of flammable accelerants at the scene and ultimately conclude that the fire was deliberate. In retrospect, This is recognized as the first double murder of his series, not a separate tragedy. Almost a year passes before he kills again. On September 7, 2006, in Gyeonggi County, Gyeonggi Province, a 23-year-old civil servant named Yoon Jung-hyun disappears on her way to work. Kang picks her up in his Hyundai Equus, rapes her, and murders her. Her body is dumped in a remote valley. She is the first victim after the fire and the first who was not part of his family. Years later, her brother will say he became a police officer because of her death. In the winter that follows, Kang accelerates. Between mid-December 2006 and early January 2007, 4 more women vanish from the outskirts of cities in Gyeonggi Province. 2 are karaoke hostesses walking home after their shifts. 1 is a 36-year-old woman taken around Christmas Eve. Another is a 50-year-old office worker waiting at a bus stop. The pattern is always the same. He offers a ride, drives to a secluded area, rapes, strangles, and buries them on hillsides or in empty lots around Hwaseong, Ansan, and nearby towns. Their names appear briefly in court records and then disappear into the long list of the dead. Among these winter victims is a 20-year-old university student named Yeon, taken from a bus stop in Gyeomgakdong, Suwon. Her age stands out. She is the youngest victim of the series after the fire. Kang treats her no differently. She is kidnapped, murdered, and buried near a riverbank on the edge of the city. And then, suddenly, nothing. For almost 2 years, no confirmed murders are linked to him. From January 2007 until November 2008, there is a 22-month silence. Police and profilers still do not know why. There is no clear change in his life circumstances, no documented move abroad, no obvious trigger. Did he lie low out of fear? Did he satisfy his urges in ways that left no bodies? Or did he simply not feel the need to kill? Only Kang knows the answer, and he has never explained that gap. The silence ends in the autumn of 2008. In early November, a 48-year-old housewife named Kim disappears after waiting at a bus stop in Suwon. Kang abducts her, kills her, and hides her body on a hill near Seongpo-dong in Ansan, cutting off her fingers with scissors to remove any traces of his DNA. Later, forensic experts will find her blood on the sleeve of his jacket, and that single stain will become one of the key pieces of evidence that breaks his denials. In December, the pattern repeats one last time. A 21-year-old university student, An, vanishes after standing in front of a medical center in Gunpo. CCTV shows her in the area, and then she's gone. She gets into a car. Kang takes her to the countryside of Hwaseong, murders her, cuts off her fingers just as he did with the previous victim, and buries her in a rice field in Wonri, Maeseongmyeon. From the fire in 2005 to the rice fields of 2008, 10 women die at his hands. Family members, civil servants, hostesses, housewives, students. Some are remembered by name, others only by occupation and age. Together they form a continuous line of violence that stretches over 3 years and across multiple cities. A line that only stops when technology and persistence finally catch up with the man who created it. After Kang's arrest, forensic investigators find DNA from 2 other individuals on a gardening hoe he used as a murder weapon. The DNA does not match any known victim or anyone in the missing persons database. Investigators suspect these are traces of 2 more unidentified victims. Kang Ho-sun only confesses to crimes when police already have evidence. If there is no proof, he remains silent. This is why experts believe the true number of victims may be significantly higher. Another reason there could be unaccounted victims. Many of his victims work in karaoke bars. These women often lose contact with their families, have no permanent address, and if they disappear, nobody reports them missing. No family files a police report. They simply vanish, and nobody looks for them. Years later, television investigations revisit the case and try to match the unknown DNA to missing women. The mystery remains unsolved. The identities of those two people, if they were indeed victims, may never be known. Some of Kang Ho-sun's crimes may remain unsolved forever. December 19, 2008. A 21-year-old university student named An disappears in Gunpo. Her family reports her missing immediately. This time, police act fast. The Gyeonggi Provincial Police Agency launches a massive investigation. They reconstruct the routes the missing woman could have taken. Then they do something unprecedented in South Korean criminal investigation at that time. They deploy CCTV footage on a scale never seen before. Police collect recordings from around 300 cameras covering the area. The footage shows the license plates of roughly 7,000 vehicles that passed through the zone on the night of the disappearance. Over the next weeks, investigators visit about 1,200 drivers to check their alibis. One of those drivers is Kang Ho-sun. At first, he appears cooperative. He claims he was with his girlfriend that night and then went home. It is a simple alibi. But CCTV footage in front of Kang's house tells a different story. Cameras record Kang burning two cars, his own vehicle and his mother's, in the middle of the night, just days after the student's disappearance. Police arrest Kang in late January 2009. They bring him in for questioning, and he denies everything. "Show me the evidence," he demands. "Prove it." But the evidence is there. On the 6th day of interrogation, January 30th, close to 2 in the morning, investigators present Kang with DNA test results. Bloodstains found on the sleeve of his jacket match the DNA of Kim, the 48-year-old housewife who disappeared in November 2008. Cell phone tower records show that Kang's phone was at the location where her body was later found. For 5 days, he has maintained his denial. Now, faced with undeniable scientific proof, he cannot escape. He asks for a specific detective, someone he feels understands him. The detective is brought in, and Kang begins to confess, first to one murder, then another, then another. By the time the sun rises, he has admitted to 10 killings. Investigators begin searching for bodies. One by one, they are found in the locations Kang indicates: hillsides, forests, fields, riverbanks. The remains are identified through DNA. Families who waited years for answers finally receive them. But the answers bring no peace, only grief. The families of the victims file lawsuits for compensation. When police arrest Kang, he desperately covers his face from cameras. At that time, South Korea has a policy of protecting the identity of suspects. Since 2003, after the cases of Yoo Young-chul and Jong Nam-gyu, media are not allowed to reveal the faces of criminals before conviction. But on January 31, 2009, the Chosun Ilbo newspaper publishes a photograph of Kang Ho-sun with a dog on the front page under the headline, "Does he have a soul?" That same evening, the image is shown on national television. Police react quickly. On February 1, 2009, during a field reenactment, Kang Ho-sun becomes the first serial killer of the 2000s whose face is officially revealed without a mask. When people see his photo, the reaction is shock. This is not a monster with a disfigured face. This is an attractive, well-groomed man with a friendly smile. The media call him the handsome criminal. Search queries for his name immediately include the word appearance. An organizer of singles meetups that Kang attended recalls, "He attracted women's attention with his neat appearance, his suit, and his luxury car. He seemed like a wealthy gentleman." Detectives remember that Kang was confident in his looks and constantly bragged about his sexual prowess. The public is horrified. If a serial killer can look like this, like someone you might meet at a cafe or on a bus, then who can you trust? The case becomes a catalyst for debate about whether the public has a right to know the faces of the worst offenders. In Kang's case, the answer is clear. The mask needed to be torn off. Police profiler Kwon Il-yong conducts hours of interrogation with Kang Ho-sun. He recalls, "Unlike Yoo Young-chul, who bragged about his crimes, Kang did not exaggerate. He was a master of speech. Every criminal psychologist who works with him notes one thing: he is brilliant at talking." Professor Park Ji-soon explains, "He deflected uncomfortable questions, steered the conversation in the direction he wanted, and maintained control until the end." Unlike Yoo Young-chul and Jong Nam-gyu, who were better at writing than speaking, Kang is a master of verbal communication. During interrogation, Kang behaves confidently. He smiles. He asks, "Aren't you tired?" He drinks water whenever the conversation turns to uncomfortable topics. But when the discussion shifts to women, he becomes animated and proudly talks about his popularity. Profiler Kwon Il-yong realizes that Kang Ho-sun has a vulnerability. It is his children. Kwon asks, "What is better for your children, to see a father who admits and repents, or a father who denies everything?" After these words, Kang Ho-sun breaks down and cries. Later, Kwon says, "Those were crocodile tears, not tears of repentance, but tears of frustration at a hopeless situation." Police describe Kang as a classic psychopath who does not feel genuine guilt. Psychological testing and expert evaluations support this view. He does not see his victims as people. He sees them as objects, tools to satisfy his needs and then discard. There is no empathy, no remorse, only calculation and self-interest. On April 9, 2009, prosecutors request the death penalty for Kang Ho-sun. On April 22, 2009, Judge Lee Tae-soo of the Ansan branch of Suwon District Court sentences Kang to death for murdering 10 women, including his wife and mother-in-law, as well as for rape, kidnapping, and arson. The judge's explanation of the verdict lasts around 20 minutes. At one point, when the judge details the evidence of arson, Kang sighs deeply. It is one of the few visible reactions he shows during the trial. Judge Lee states that it is unavoidable to permanently isolate Kang from society, considering the victims who lost their lives and the pain of the bereaved families. He notes that Kang has shown no genuine sign of remorse. In a separate civil ruling on April 16, 2009, the court orders Kang to pay 1.3 billion won in compensation to the families of 6 victims. Kang does not have the means to pay. The ruling is symbolic, but it acknowledges the suffering of the victims' families. Kang appeals and writes the appeal himself. In July 2009, the Seoul High Court upholds the death sentence. Kang then withdraws further appeal, effectively accepting the sentence. But South Korea has not carried out an execution since December 30, 1997. The country is considered to have a de facto moratorium on the death penalty. Kang Ho-sun is sentenced to death, but he lives in solitary confinement at the Seoul Detention Center, waiting for an execution that will likely never happen. Unlike life imprisonment, where a model prisoner can be released on parole, a death row inmate remains in a cell until death. Kang Ho-sun will spend the rest of his life behind bars. In April 2014, it becomes known that Kang has adapted well to prison life. He turns out to be a talented sculptor. Guards at the Seoul Detention Center are struck by the quality of his work. It is too good for a casual hobby. There is a story that when another notorious inmate is brought in, Kang is in a neighboring cell, and a guard asks him to help the newcomer adjust. This suggests that prison authorities see him as a model inmate in terms of behavior. But in August 2021, Kang sends a letter to a television network claiming that guards are falsely accusing him and that he risks being punished for fabricated misconduct. He also claims that another high-profile inmate linked to an online sex crime scandal is being unfairly treated. Kang writes that he has petitioned the president, alleging human rights violations and illegal actions by guards. He files a lawsuit against a prison guard and submits a request for disclosure of information about a recent incident. The detention center denies his accusations. An internal investigation confirms that Kang was under investigation for actual violations, not fabricated charges. There were no threats from guards. Kang had multiple chances to speak with staff and the director. Criminologists comment that Kang is highly intelligent and likely seeks attention after years of being forgotten. He chooses a moment when public interest in another prisoner is high, attaching his name to a fresh scandal to pull the spotlight back onto himself. Even in prison, he continues to manipulate narratives. He cannot kill anymore, but he can still try to control the story. Kang Ho-sun and Yoo Young-chul are the two most infamous serial killers in modern South Korea. But they represent very different types of offenders. Yoo Young-chul and Jong Nam-gyu were social outcasts, full of rage against society, with traumatic childhoods and a desire for revenge. They bragged about their crimes and exaggerated their own image. On the PCLR psychopathy test, Yoo Young-chul scored close to the maximum. Kang Ho-sun scores lower on that scale, but experts stressed that his test was done under an older methodology, making direct numerical comparison difficult. What matters more is his profile. Profiler Kwon Il-yong says, "Unlike Yoo Young-chul, who bragged, Kang did not exaggerate himself. He was methodical and rational." Researchers describe Kang as a new model of serial killer in a developed society, not a marginalized outcast, but a socially functional psychopath. He marries multiple times, runs businesses, attends social events, and maintains a respectable image while secretly committing serial murder. He is not pushed to the edge by poverty or abuse. He lives inside the system and uses it. This is what makes him so frightening. Yoo Young-chul looked like someone society had already rejected. Kang Ho-sun looks like someone society has accepted. The city of Ansan, where Kang Ho-sun lived, changes after his arrest. Residents remember the years when women were afraid to go out at night, when doors were locked tight, when a predator moved through familiar streets. For the families of the victims, the death sentence in 2009 does not bring closure. Their daughters, sisters, mothers are gone. No sentence can change that. The brother of Yoon Jung-hyun, the 23-year-old civil servant killed in 2006, becomes a police officer. He says, "If I meet Kang Ho-sun, I will say one thing. You killed my innocent sister, but I became a police officer to protect your family." It is a statement of moral courage, to choose protection over revenge, to break the cycle of hatred. The story of Kang Ho-sun is a reminder. Evil does not always look like evil. It can smile, offer you a ride, show you a photograph of a dog. It can be attractive, charming, well-dressed. It can be the person your neighbors would trust without hesitation. The technology that caught Kang, the CCTV cameras, the DNA analysis, represents progress. But technology cannot prevent the crimes he already committed. It can only reconstruct what he did after the fact. The deeper lesson is simpler and more uncomfortable. Danger does not always look dangerous, and monsters do not always look like monsters. Kang Ho-sun, born October 10, 1969, sentenced to death on July 31, 2009, currently held at Seoul Detention Center, waiting for an execution that will likely never come. 10 lives, 10 families, 10 names that must not be forgotten. Yoon Jung-hyun, 23, Bae Kyung-mi, 45, Park, 36, Park, 50, Kim, 39, Yeon, 20, Kim, 48, An, 21, and 2 women whose names are known but whose stories remain within their families, a 29-year-old wife and a 60-year-old mother. They deserve to live. They deserve to grow old. They deserve futures that Kang Ho-sun stole from them. We remember them, and we remember the lesson. Monsters do not always look like monsters. Sometimes they look like us.